Yes, people, here we are. Matt from BoTNPodcast. I'm back with a special one today. Listen, he's already huffing and puffing. Listen, I've got James here from E20ZoneTv, West Ham fan. Big game yesterday for both clubs and not the result you wanted. Come on, James, listen, introduce yourself to the people, man. I know we do shows on your channel. Your first time on my one, man. Thanks for coming.
No worries at all, mate. No worries at all. Absolute pleasure to come on here and speak to you, Matt. But I'm hurting today. I know you're going to enjoy this one very much, but we have had two over you this year, so you deserve it. You know what I mean? But appreciate being on E20ZoneTv, West Ham fan channel, so to speak. But I'm all for the people. So, yeah.
Nah, I appreciate it, James. Thanks for coming on. Listen, you've been us twice this season. I've taken it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really have to take it. And obviously, this is one I'm going to enjoy. I'm going to smile this whole And you know
I
what?
know.
you know what? What were your thoughts of the game? I've got my thoughts. Whether you want to do from West Ham point of view, overall, let it go. Like, what did you think about it?
Self-destruction, mate, from us, really. I thought Arsenal played the game plan to a T. They had Havertz and Trossard just keep interchanging all the time, and West Ham just couldn't pick up the players. Everyone was just moving all over the place, and no one stayed in their natural positions, so to speak. I thought for the first 20 minutes of the game, I thought West Ham were all right. I thought we were defensively solid. I thought we looked all right. I thought we was going forward, but weren't doing nothing with it, if that makes sense. Like, we looked like we was doing something, but we weren't. And then I started seeing little, like, cracks start to appear. Like Saliba and Gabriel all over Bowen, and I don't think that was the move. I think Kudus should have been up there. I think Kudus could have handled it a bit more than Bowen did. But once the first goal happened, which I think it was Saliba who scored the first goal, I think, if I remember right, there was so many goals. Do you know what I mean? I'm lost count. But when Saliba scored, it was just the floodgates opened, and Arsenal are a good side. Do you know what I mean? And they just ripped us to shreds. I think we self-destructed it to a point. Also, I think defensively was all over the place. I don't get certain issues with West Ham at the minute, like with Ben Johnson at left wing. I understand the idea, but it doesn't work. And there's a lot of heat on Moyes, and rightfully so. And it's just, I feel like West Ham were in a good moment, but now we're slowly crashing and burning, which is a bit of a concern, mate, if I'm being honest.
No, listen, spot on with that analysis. And, you know, we spoke about before, you guys hadn't won. You haven't won since the last time you beat us. And I thought it was going to be the one, you know, you beat us before. Oh, we've done it again against Arsenal. But again, yeah, I think first 20 minutes, I was a bit like, oh, it's going to be that type of game. But yeah, and I think you said on your show, actually, you remember you said if we score first, you could see it going that way. And you were spot on. And I feel like, yeah, you could just see after the first goal, it's like the heads dropped after one goal. And I feel like with what's going on at the club, which obviously you know more than me and other fans, it really changed. You could see the fans changing as well. Straight away, it's like, oh, here we go again. And then you had the Sullivan thing as well. I'm like, this is going to get worse for West Ham. And obviously fans left. And I'm normally against fans leaving. I'm big on support your team till the end. But I spoke to Clive as well, because I asked him, you know, I don't want to bait him up on it, but he was like, if the players don't care, why am I which is true, why am I staying there, hoping, not even you're going to come back, but see, you know, a bit of a better performance. And I don't blame you guys at all. But yeah, we were rampant. But I said as well, we missed a lot of chances in the Emirates one. And I did say, this could be a game where it clicks, and we needed Declan Rice to be at the top of his game. And I thought he was fantastic. Like, this was the first time when I went, wow. And I think the last two games against West Ham were a lot more for him. Oh, I've left West Ham, and it's hard playing against them. I think this is the one where he's like, I've done it twice now. Let me show. I still love West Ham, as you saw the celebrations, but it's business now, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's nothing personal. And I think him along with a lot of players were quite outstanding. I think Alvarez, for you, that yellow card early on was a bit of a bummer, because obviously he went. And I feel like he couldn't play how he normally does. You know, he's robust in the tackle and all of that, and he really couldn't do. But a lot of your players were off. You know, I don't know if you want to talk about a couple of performances. I think you said it, Zuma and again, like that was
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, mate. I'll start with Declan Rice. World class. I've said it to you for a long time, and I've said it to a few people for a long time. He's a world-class player. And when he left West Ham, it hurt us a little bit because we knew how good this man is. And we know how good he is. Do you know what I mean? The problem is no one listens to West Ham fans about West Ham players because they think like they're just bang average. But we've been saying about Declan Rice for ages. And I'll be honest with you, that's the best performance I've seen him in an Arsenal shirt this year. Like by a long way. I thought he absolutely destroyed us from the middle of the park. He was everywhere. His assist play was good. He was just a completely different player. Like, and the goal sort of crowned it off. And fair play to him. He gets booed by sections of our fan base, but he didn't celebrate. He didn't even look like he looked mortified. Really, he felt. I think he actually felt sorry for West Ham a little bit.
I think when he kicked it, it was like, oh no, you know,
yeah. He was like, I respected it from him. Do you know what I mean? And I thought his performance was excellent. On our side of things, where do I start, mate? Like, I think the whole back line is all over the gaff, if I'm being honest. I think Zuma's not good enough anymore. I think we've got him in the team and he's done a good job for West Ham, but his time's slowly coming to an end. Nathan Aguirre can't defend the cross. Like, literally, you got two centre halves there and they're both under the ball for both goals. And it's funny, like, Arsenal, for how much their sort of attacking play is, it's their two centre halves who get them on their way. Like, do you know what I'm saying? And just put us to bed, really. Do you know what I'm saying? I look at the right hand side. Sufal against Martinelli, just a mismatch, really. I thought Saka had a good game. Don't get me wrong, but I thought he was helped that Emerson and Johnson all over the place. You got one going, one staying, one not committing, one committing too early. Do you know what I'm saying? It's just a mixed bag from us, like really, like. And that's not the West Ham that I saw at the Emirates. At the Emirates, we was a well-organised, well-marshalled side, and Arsenal were coming forward. And I'm going to be honest, when we played you at the Emirates, I didn't fear you scoring. I thought like you're going to have chances, but I thought we was defensively solid. But the way we just like it's the self-destruction with us, Matt. That's the problem that I can't. That's the issue that I've got with it. Yeah, there's losing to Arsenal. I can take losing to Arsenal. We've lost to Arsenal many times over the years. Yeah, but I can't take losing 6. That's where there's something more to it there. Do you know what I mean? It felt like to me the players just give up, after once that Saka penalty went in. Yeah, it could have been 10. It really could have been 10. And that's not even no joke. Like that's actually being like Ario's kept us in the game, really. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it just wasn't good, mate. It just wasn't good from us at all.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. You know what? I'm seeing from an Arsenal point of view. We've spoken about our players doing this. I think with West Ham, I feel like your midfield, the three in midfield. I think in this league you have to have someone at midfield who's at least a bit quick, at least a bit athletic. And I think with West Ham, you've got Alvarez that obviously gets about, shields the defense. I don't know with Ward-Prowse. I think someone said it. I can't remember if it was West Ham United Central. Somebody, because I follow quite a few, and I haven't seen him play well for a bit now. I know he's good at set pieces, Ward-Prowse. I know, but you want a bit more from your central midfield. Souček as well. Again, that's Clive's lover boy, as we know.
Yeah,
but I think it was Lawless was saying like he would normally do something in attack. He's not doing that. Normally, will help you with set pieces defending. He's not doing that. So what is he actually doing? And Moyes is the guy, you know what I mean?
There's no creativity, man. That's the problem. Like when you go through the 3-man midfield, Alvarez is not going to make you chance after chance after chance. Yeah, so that's down to James Ward-Prowse and Souček. Now Souček's not a creator. He's a box-to-box merchant. He'll get in the box and try and score, or he'll be in the other box trying to defend. That's what he does. And that's his basic, basically. With Ward-Prowse, it's a tricky one because he started off like a train. But have teams sussed him out now? Like, do you know what I mean? Are they going to look at it and think, right, just don't give any West Ham any set pieces or anything like corners wide, cheap corners? And if you do that, you nullify him. Because I've always said this with him, yeah? When he was mentioned to come to West Ham, I was like, I don't know about this one. I think, is he just a sort of one-trick pony sort of thing? Like, he's got the set pieces, but what's he like as a midfielder? Someone who's going to get around the pitch, passing, creativity? Because you're going to need more than just set pieces. Do you know what I mean? You're going to need someone from midfield's going to have to step up and start making things happen, and that's the problem. Without Lucas Paqueta in our side, we have nothing. Like we have no creativity at all, and it proved it yesterday. Like we're going forward, but we're not. Like we're going forward. Arsenal are sitting there, and I wouldn't say they was manhandling us, but they was just pushing us into places where we weren't doing nothing. Do you know what I mean? We look good, but we're not going nowhere. So there's a lot of issues in the midfield. There's a lot of issues with Moyes currently right now, and the heat is firmly on him, like big time. Like as I said just previous, like there's losing a game of football like that we can all take. Like we've all lost games of football and we've had to take the L sort of thing. But there's ways of losing, and it proved it yesterday when all the fans just evacuated the London Stadium. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, they basically turned around and said, "No, we're not having this," and that wasn't just that was a sort of protest, so to speak. That wasn't just because of the result. I also think that was a sign to say this is not acceptable now. Do you know what I mean? Like West Ham this year, for me, have held 5 at Liverpool away, held 5 at Fulham away, held 4 at Villa away. We've just held 6 at home against Arsenal. We've still got to play Manchester City, Liverpool, right, to come, and that's going to if we play like that, we're going to concede 10. Do you know what I mean? And we can't, and that's the problem that I've currently got with it right now. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Nah, you know what? Put on. I'm a bit concerned for you because up until that stage, you beat us, and I think in the last game at Emirates, we had loads of chances. But as you said, you did defend resolutely. I think Bonner in that game was solid as well. Players that are good, I will look at him and I'm like, he started well again. He started well. He made a mistake against was it Isaac when you played?
Yeah.
But again, he picked up. He's looked a bit meh recently. Zuma, someone said it as well. I feel that injuries have caught up with him. I think I was listening to TalkSport this morning, and I think it shows why a lot of teams avoided him because he had a lot of them injuries, and it's catching up with him. And I feel like West Ham needs to just revamp that whole defense. I think goalkeeper-wise, as you said before, Fabianski time's up now. I think Ariola's a good goalkeeper, but I'm not sure if you're going to want to upgrade and get a better ball-playing goalkeeper. It depends on if you get a new manager. It all depends. Yeah, I agree, and I feel like that was a process for Sullivan, but does he care? I don't know if you want to just, let people know, like, I know your thoughts on Sullivan, but do you think it's going to change? Do you think in the summer something might change?
Sullivan's got the man in place that does as he's told, let's put it like that, who needs a job. Yeah, and that is the problem.
So tell the people what manager you said, because I've heard you say the same name a lot of times.
I like Almiron. Ruben Almiron at Sporting Lisbon. If West Ham want to go up to a level where, not an Arsenal level, because Arsenal are up there, but if we want to go up to try and compete in the top 6 level, top 7, there's nothing stopping West Ham from going and getting Almiron out of Sporting Lisbon. Yeah, it's just whether or not you want to pay the money. And the problem is with the owner of the club currently right now, he does not want to pay the money. He would rather go and get a Graham Potter who's cheap. Now, is Graham Potter going to change West Ham like long-term future? I just don't see it. I think for him, I use him as an example, the structure that he had at Brighton was a well-organised structure. At West Ham, there is none. Like there is no real structure. Like when you go through the basics of West Ham, there really isn't. And with Brighton, there was. And he proved it at Chelsea. When he went to Chelsea, and it was all over the place. He just folded like a good one. So I wouldn't mind it. For me, I'm not opposed of change. Like I wouldn't mind the change. Don't get me wrong. But if Moyes is here, something's got to give. Something has to give. Like it just feels. It feels like to me, and I felt it yesterday when I done my video on E20. I basically turned and said, I feel like this season's starting to crash and burn. Like now we're starting to fall apart, literally in front of our eyes. And I just don't see where the light is now at the end of the tunnel. And I said it actually a few weeks ago. I've done a tweet and I said I'm actually concerned because I can see the decline literally in front of my eyes, but people are starting to sort of paper over it a little bit. And don't get me wrong, losing to Arsenal is no sort of shame because do you know what I mean? People have lost to Arsenal, but there's losing the London derby, and then there's getting absolutely obliterating the London derby, and that to me, even the tactics yesterday with Moyes, like sitting there just saying, "It's going Arsenal, you have the ball," and they've all got they've got Declan Rice in their team, who's one of ours, who's a ball playing sort of central midfielder who can pass it everywhere. You got Eldegaard, you got Martinelli and Saka coming in from the flanks. You know what I mean? You got Havertz in and out. Do you know what I'm saying? And Havertz for me didn't have an amazing game, but he was effective. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if we're going to talk about Arsenal players, I thought like the whole 6 of them, from like the 3 in midfield to the 3 up front, they was just everywhere. And what they done it very clever. And Arteta must have worked on that. Is they kept interchanging every 5 seconds. Do you know what I mean? And Souček didn't know who to pick up, and that's the problem. Like when you're doing that consistently, and for me, just to say about Moyes, before I sort of land on Arsenal, I just think it's coming to the end now. I don't like to admit it, but I do think it might be coming to the end with him, because I just don't see how it goes. I don't see where the progression is now. I'm starting to see a decline rather than a progression. Now, that could change in a few weeks. If West Ham go and win the next 4 in a row, people are going to look at it a bit different. But I just don't know where to land on it, Matt, if I'm being honest, especially with the owner of the club. Because for me, I just don't trust the owner. Like, the owner of the club will go out and be cheap, and it shouldn't be like that. Do you know what I mean? When Arsenal went out and got Arteta, it was one of the weirdest sort of manager appointments going. Do you know what I mean? No one saw Arteta coming from like there, when you're being linked with all these top managers, and then you got Mikel Arteta coming in, who's the second to Pep. Yeah, it just didn't make a lot of sense, right? And obviously, it took you the same amount of time as Moyes has been here. I think you appointed him in December, and we appointed Moyes in the January, I think it was. Yeah. So, like, for me, when I look at what Arteta's done, even with his style and the way he's sort of gone around it, and look where West Ham are currently right now. One's going forward, one's going back, and like we're definitely going back. Do you know what I'm saying? And it all depends on how you perceive it. But I don't want West Ham to go back any further. Like where we've been currently, I want to see West Ham be there. I'm not saying be top 4, because I'm not deluded, but definitely a top 7 side. I think West Ham should be up there. Do you know what I mean? Competing, but Arsenal were good, very good. I thought front 6. That's basically camped in our half all the time. I thought Saliba and Gabriel had Bowen just wrapped up really. Like, I think it's a completely different game of Antonio play, because I don't think he could bully Bowen in that way. It just wouldn't have happened. But other than that, you were slick and deadly, and we were just not there.
Yeah, no, you know what? Again, spot on. I didn't even know what to say now. Spot on with West Ham, the Moyes thing as well. I do feel it's always come to an end. It's sad that after the season of conference, winning conference is coming to this, but I think from his point of view, he can leave with his head held high if Sullivan decides to stay on. I don't think West Ham fans will look and say, "Oh, Moyes took us there." They'll know it's all Sullivan, and I think Sullivan will kind of regret that. I said to you before as well, I realised how bad Sullivan was with the Declan Rice thing. You've just won a conference and you're coming out talking about your player like that. I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, you're our owner.
That's like you winning the Champions League and then your owner coming out and talking about Saka.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I was like, what are you doing? Yeah. I remember when I was seeing it on YouTube, I was like, nah, surely it's a typo. And I was just listening, I was thinking, honestly, mate, what's going on? And I'm worried for West Ham. And as I said to you, my dad's a Hammer, and we always talk about it. And he was saying the same thing. He was like, worrying because you've got Tim Staden there, that he's probably identifying these players like the Kudus and all of that. And you've got good talent there. Paqueta being fit is good. I just feel, as you said, you're talking about slick passing. West Ham don't have that. And I feel like, you know what I mean? And I feel like with West Ham, you talk about interchanging. If you pass the ball quick against West Ham, they struggle. Because you don't really have them players that midfield can get about, apart from maybe Alvarez, who else did have? Emerson, who he had a bad game, but he's been good this season. But you don't have enough there. You don't have creative player. Odegaard, which is floating around. Yes, they're having fun with it. So I feel like, West Ham really need to look at what they want to do in the summer. Because I think it's a massive summer for you guys. I'm not...
Do you know what it is, though, Matt? Yeah, the thing with me, which I'm sort of gutted about, is that whatever happens now, David Moyes' sort of reign at West Ham is going to be tarnished now. Really, Joe, like when you're like what is it? There's a saying, you do a hero thing, and you all of a sudden become the villain of the piece at the end. Do you know what I mean? I can't remember what the saying is, but when you've done so well at West Ham, and he has done well, like listen, I'll give him the respect that he deserves. I think he's done amazing at West Ham, but I think now his credibility and his sort of reign at West Ham is just being tarnished to a point. Really, if I'm being truthfully honest, and I do think personally that's on the owner of the club. Like, the owner of the club should have come out in the summer, and instead of trying to sell Declan Rice to use lot and trying to get the best fee possible, he should have sorted out the manager situation straight away. And for me, if he runs his contract down and offers him a new one and he accepts it, I seriously do not understand that logic at all. Like, I really don't. Because what if that's the case? Why didn't you just offer him a contract last year? Like, what Do you know what I mean? What are you seeing from 12 months ago that you're seeing now, and you're prepared to offer him a new contract? The reason why I think they will offer him a new contract, whether or not he accepts it's another thing, though. I will say that if they do offer him a new contract and he accepts it, it would not surprise me if West Ham start going like in the stone in water, big time, especially in the league. Especially in the league, because I just think, I think the fan base is just so hostile at the minute, and it proved it the other day when everyone's walking out of there and you see like the aerial view of Stratford and you're seeing all like over the bridge and everything. It was just, to me, I'm not worried about the loss because the game was done after 3-0. Like, you know, once that third goal and when that's it, game over. But to see all that happening and then just the whole club just evacuate the LS, it was just, to me, that was a protest and that was a statement of intent from the fans to say this is not acceptable anymore.
Yeah, and hopefully he listens. And I feel like there's the disconnect between the manager and and I said this to you before with Arteta. I wasn't one to say when we signed Arteta, oh my God, he's going to be this and that. And I was concerned. Let's not forget the season where we lost our first 3. Then we had that Norwich game where I think we won 1-0 at Emirates, and I was like, "Oh, saved his bacon here." But he has transformed us in a way. You know, people can laugh and say he's mini Pep, he's only won an FA Cup, but he has turned us into a better side. Like, we can't deny it. And I feel the connect between him and the board is like this now. I feel like at the time there's a bit of a gap. I feel like the board are really understanding what Arteta wants to do. He spoke about the 5 phases. I feel like we're the one summer transfer window away from going again to getting closer. And I feel like West Ham are, I don't know, I feel like they're in such a weird place. Like you said, it's too much up and down what's going on now. And yes, this summer is massive. I know we always say it with football teams, but you've got to look at other teams around you that are doing well. You look at Brighton. Yeah. No matter who gets injured at Brighton or whoever comes in, you know what you're getting from Brighton. You know what I mean? Like, you played them. It was 0-0, wasn't it? At your place, I think.
0-0 at our place. We beat them 3-1.
Whether they bring in Milner, whether they bring in whoever, like, they just know the style of play there. I feel like with West Ham, some of their players, it's a paycheck. Danny Ings, prime example.
Yeah.
Before Danny Ings, you had, who was the guy who got from Championship? Jordan Hugill as well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there was always that type of signing to West Ham. I've always got a soft spot for them. I'm a local guy. But again, since they've gone to the stadium, it's not been the same. You probably went to Upton Park as well.
Yeah,
atmosphere is not the same, and West Ham you know what? It feels like they dropped my water. That's actually something good about West Ham. Well, by the way, I'm not a Hammer. I'm an Arsenal fan. And I feel like West Ham have lost something. There's something that's missing there, and I feel like they're losing a bit of that DNA with them. And it's sad to see. It really is, and it's sad when the owner doesn't care. You know, I'm trying to say. And it's hard.
What you're saying about what we've lost, we're losing touch with the club. That's what it is. The fan base is losing touch with the football. The fan base can't relate to the football, and I can understand it. But I've always been of the opinion that if West Ham are doing well, it's very hard to get rid of a manager who's making you do well. And where West Ham have never been that sort of consistent for all the years I've watched them, like West Ham would have one good year and then 3 bad ones. Yeah. It's very hard to go and start knocking a manager who's giving you your best sort of years, so to speak. Do you know what I mean? But I do think there has to be a line in the sand, and I just don't think it changes with the owner we got. Do you know what I'm saying? Really, if I'm being honest.
It's scary. Honestly, it's scary. And I know how you're feeling in terms of, like, you know, you're a passionate West Ham fan and you just want to see your club do well. And then, as we said, teams can lose. I've seen Arsenal defeats. Look, you beat us at Emirates. I was like, 2-0, cool. But I saw something where we should have won. We should have, you know, whatever. But that was a bad defeat. You know, I mean, very, very bad. And who knows how it's going to knock the players? You know, you've got Forest next, I think it is.
Yeah, Forest next. Away, I know.
You know what I'm saying? And let's say you go and lose that one, then it's really, really heating up. You know what I mean? And I don't want to see Moyes go out bad as well. I'm like you. You know, I watch other teams as well, and I want Moyes to leave with his head held high. You got them you won the conference final. All right, it hasn't worked out this season, but leave with your head held high. And fans are not going to look at you and say you've been rubbish. He, like you said, he gave you guys the best moments. And it's sad it's come to this. And who knows? Listen, let's see what happens in the summer. You know what I mean? But, you know, speaking on summer, before we wrap up, I want to ask you. So it's up to you to decide, what do you need to see happen in the summer for you to say, do you know what? I'm all right again. I feel like we're going to progress, you know, before we finish.
I want to see the owner be ambitious. Like, that's what I want to see. Like, It's an hard one with me because West Ham can go out and pay £50 million out for Lucas Paqueta. We can go out and pay X amount of pounds for Mohamed Kudus. Why can't this club go out and pay out for a top end manager? That's the thing that drives me absolutely mad. Like, no one really mentions it enough. Like in the West Ham community, West Ham go, right, get rid of Moyes and bring in anyone. It shouldn't be like that. Like, we've done that years ago. If you want to have a long term future, you go and get Almer in, or you go and pay for someone who's going to come in and be there for the next 5 years. Do you know what I mean? Who's going to make us better? Do you know what I'm saying? The problem is, I think West Ham at the time last summer was the right move to get rid of him. And looking back in hindsight, I know hindsight's a wonderful thing, but looking back, he should have went in the summer. Really, like he should have said, right, we're going to cut your sort of contract. We're going to go in a different direction. Pay him off a year's salary, whatever it is, yeah, and then let him go. And they come to a mutual agreement. The problem is now, if West Ham don't get in Europe and West Ham finish 10th or 11th or something, what real top manager is going to want to come here and work in that sort of environment? That means they'd have to do a year in the Premier League, learning on the job to try and get into a European position and then build from there.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know, Matt. If you want me to be truthfully honest, I think the owner needs to go. I think the manager is walking a tightrope. I think if the owner goes or the owner sells, I think a new owner comes in, gets rid of Moyes and brings in their own manager. And it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, and I do mean this, that if he keeps him for another 2 years until like the next contract, runs that contract down again, and then sells the club and then hands it over to another owner who will decide whether Moyes is the man, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, this is going to be, honestly, it's going to be interesting. I feel like the next couple, the summer's going to be quite interesting to see what happens with West Ham. Yeah, and this, yeah, it is concerning. From the outside, I'm kind of with you. I feel like it's kind of like, you remember when Arsenal won the FA Cup? And it was like that, the second FA Cup where we were like, go, it's time to go. And I was one of them, was like, leave now, leave at the, when you're here, we love you, please just go. And he just stayed a bit extra. That doesn't change what he's done because you're going to love Moyes, and the same was like Arsenal. But it was like, there was that bit where, oh man, some fans hate Arsenal and we kind of forget what he brought to us, the special moments. And yeah, you know what I mean? And that's the kind of feel that I get now.
Because what it is, I'll be honest with you, Matt, yeah, what it is I know a few Arsenal fans, and they're basically turned around and said to me, the situation with Moyes currently right now is very similar to how it was with Wenger. Yeah, a lot of fans who respected Wenger to the end, like whether or not they liked the football or not, they respected for everything he had done, and he deserves to go out a hero, basically.
Yeah.
And then there were some fans who were like literally wanting to throw him out the door, like literally wanted to like add enough and couldn't take it anymore, sort of thing. And the problem is with that is that if you go and throw him out the door, you can't then go and respect the geezer after trying to hound him out. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like with me, I don't want to hound Moyes out the door, but I just don't see what more he can do now. Like I've started to it's just sort of dawned on me with Moyes that I'm thinking this is very similar to the Wenger situation that happened years ago, like where Arsenal fans were like, we need to go in a new direction. We're slowly coming down. And that's a different scale, but I'm using it as an example. But for me, when that happened, I was like, why would you want to get rid of him? Because he's like gives you one of your best ever moments. Like he's your greatest ever manager, really, if I'm being honest. Yeah. So when you say that, people go, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. And I do get that now. Like, because people say to us, well, why do you want to get rid of Moyes for? He's giving you the greatest. I don't understand. It's as simple as that. So, honestly, whatever happens from now to the end of the season, I personally think West Ham will finish about. I think West Ham will just scrape 10th, if I'm being honest. The way we're going, I think we will pick up wins. But I think when Europe comes around and we're playing Thursday, Sunday, I think that's going to affect us. If someone said to me right now, James, you're going to finish 10th and you're going to get to the final of the Europa League, I'd take that all day. Yeah, I would, because let's be honest, that's what all football's about, it's memories, isn't it? But if I'm being honest, I don't even think West Ham win the next game in Europe. I think the way it's going is just going very toxic, very bad. The fans are at each other's necks, and I just think it's only a matter of time before you're going to have another sort of Burnley revisited, like it was a few years ago when there was protests and things like that.
Yeah, no, it could do. I think you kind of sack off the league a bit because I don't think you're going to go down, and I feel like it's just going to be Europa thing. I feel like you're really going to go. And if you're Moyes, be like, listen, cool, you're going to do that in the league, but all I ask in Europe, give us something. Give the fans like them away days. You know, like you guys are going to play all these teams away in Europe and experiences that you can't buy them things, as you said, them great memories. So I feel like, just need to focus on that and let's see how the season ends. You know what I mean? But
I agree, mate.
But you listen, James. Listen, I appreciate you coming on, man. And I love our little convos. The way your fans call me out on YouTube and all this and that. And listen, I love it. I love fans that are just real. When a team loses, none of that hiding. Like you come straight on. You message me in the game. I'm like, I'm not available. Whistle ain't even really gone, but you're on it. You know.
I was actually glad because I was like, I don't want to have to put up with Matt for 10 minutes, just smiling and like loving life. But you know what I mean. But listen, I've got to hold the L, mate. Big, like at the end of the day, and it is what it is. Like I've had 2 W's this year. I've enjoyed them, but I think this L hurts a lot more. I'll say that.
I called my dad after. Like, there's no answer. You know what I mean? He calls me next morning. Oh, sorry, I missed your call. No, you didn't miss it. You know what you did.
There was a signal failure. That's right.
James, thanks for coming on. Guys, make sure to check him out, E20ZoneTV, him and his gang. Listen, anything West Ham in depth, that's where you go find them at. Obviously, me, I've been Matt from BoTNPodcast. If you haven't already, subscribe, follow me. All social media platforms, you'll find my link on my Twitter, my Instagram. You know where I'm going to be at. But once again, James, thanks for coming on. I'm sure we'll meet in the future. And let's see what happens come the summer. I'm sure we'll do a little wrap up on what happens West Ham come the end of the year and everything. But we'll see what happens. But cheers once again. It's been a pleasure.
Take care.